Today, we're going to walk you through the steps needed to replace the timing chain and sprockets on a Stellantis V6 3.6-liter engine. Our technician will be installing a kit with the engine removed, so you can more clearly see all the necessary steps. This particular engine will require the use of Dayco kit KTC 1372, which includes all timing chain components needed for this job. Before getting started, make sure you have a left and right bank camshaft lock. These tools lock the camshafts in place when the timing chain kit is being replaced. There are a few disassembly steps before you can get to the timing chain. Remove the upper intake manifold, the spark plugs, and then both cylinder head covers. Take off the harmonic balancer and the engine timing cover. Drain the oil and remove the lower oil pan to access a hidden bolt that enables you to remove the main oil pan. Put the bolt back in the crankshaft and rotate the crankshaft to place the number 1 cylinder piston at top dead center on the exhaust stroke, aligning the dimple on the crankshaft with the block bearing cap junction. While maintaining this alignment, verify that the arrows on the left bank cam phasers point toward each other and are parallel to the cylinder head cover mounting surface. Then check that the right bank cam phaser arrows point away from each other and the scribe lines are parallel to the cylinder head cover mounting surface. Confirm that the camshafts are correctly aligned by ensuring the holes are vertical. Before diving in further, take note of these 4 warnings. First, when the timing chains are removed and the cylinder heads are still installed, do not rotate the camshafts or crankshaft without first locating the proper crankshaft position. This is really important because if this step is ignored, it could result in valve or piston damage. Second, when aligning timing marks, always rotate the engine by turning the crankshaft by hand. Failure to do so will result in valve or piston damage. Third, the phaser markings can either align with an external or an internal chain link. Either alignment is acceptable as long as there are 12 chain pins between the markings. Fourth, the magnetic timing wheels on this engine must not come in contact with magnets or magnetic fields of any kind. This will destroy the timing wheel's ability to communicate camshaft positioning to its complementary sensor. Now it's time to move on to the next phase of this installation. Grab those camshaft locks and put them in place. Disengage the oil pump chain tensioner spring and remove the oil pump tensioner. Remove the oil pump sprocket retaining bolt and sprocket and chain. The camshaft chains, shoes, guides, and tensioners can now be removed. We'll tackle one side at a time, starting with the right bank. Pull off the tensioner, then the shoe, then the guide. Now, remove the chain. In order to remove the components from the left bank, we need to slide the idler sprocket forward. We'll start by removing the primary chain tensioner and guide. Then the idler sprocket retaining bolt. Now, remove the left bank cam chain tensioner, then pull the primary gear set forward to give yourself enough room to remove the shoe. Once that's off, you can undo the bolts to the guide and pull it and the chain off together. With left bank cam chain out of the way, the primary chain, idler sprocket, and crankshaft sprocket can be removed. As a reminder, do not rotate the crankshaft more than a few degrees independently of the camshafts. To begin reassembly, place the primary chain onto the crankshaft sprocket so that the arrow is aligned with the plated link on the timing chain. While maintaining this alignment, invert the crankshaft sprocket and timing chain and place the idler sprocket onto the timing chain so that the dimple is aligned with the chain's plated link. Lubricate the idler sprocket bushing with clean engine oil and install the sprockets and timing chain on the engine. To verify that the timing is still correct, make sure the timing chain plated link is at 12 o'clock when the dimple on the crankshaft is aligned with the block bearing cap junction. Place the guide without installing the bolts. Then, drape the left bank cam chain over its corresponding intake cam phaser and onto the idler sprocket. Make sure the plated links align with the arrows on the cam phasers and idler sprocket. Now install the shoe while sliding the primary gear set in place. Then, screw the bolts for the guide and tighten to 106 inch-pounds. Install the cam chain tensioner, tighten the bolts to 106 inch-pounds, and then pull out the retaining pin. Install the idler sprocket retaining bolt and washer and tighten to 18 foot-pounds. Time to move on to the primary chain guide. Screw it on and tighten the T30 bolts to 106 inch-pounds. Attach the primary chain tensioner to the engine block with 2 bolts. Tighten them to 106 inch-pounds. Then remove the tensioner pin. Take the cam chain and drape the right side of it over the right bank exhaust cam phaser and onto the idler sprocket. You'll want the dimple and the arrows on the cam phasers and idler gear aligned with the plated link on the cam chain. Now, put on the right bank cam chain guide, tighten the bolts to 106 inch-pounds, then clip the shoe back in place. Install the tensioner to the engine block and tighten the bolts to 106 inch-pounds. Then pull the pin out. Place the oil pump sprocket into the oil pump chain. Then, put the oil pump chain onto the crankshaft sprocket while aligning the oil pump sprocket with the oil pump shaft. Install the oil pump sprocket retaining bolt and tighten it to 18 foot-pounds. Place the oil pump tensioner. Ensure that the spring is positioned above the dowel pin. Now you can remove the cam locks and check everything. Rotate the crankshaft clockwise 2 complete revolutions, stopping when the dimple on the crankshaft is aligned with the block bearing cap junction. While maintaining this alignment, take a moment to double check that the arrows on the left bank cam phasers point toward each other. They should also be parallel to the cylinder head cover mounting surface. Then, check the right bank cam phaser arrows and ensure that they point away from each other and the scribe lines are parallel to the cylinder head cover mounting surface. The hard work is finally done. Now it's time to replace the oil pans and the timing cover and valve covers using new gaskets. Finish this job up by installing the spark plugs, harmonic balancer, and intake manifold.